Hello everyone, Mr. E here to talk to you about True Survivor, the penance that everyone wants to get, but is a real kind of crapshoot as far as getting it. That's because there's a lot of factors that goes into completing a 35 plus Havoc without taking any downs, which is the requirement to get the achievement, of course. On the bright side, all you had to do is do this one time for one game, and 35 pluses, while they are hard, they aren't impossible. There's a lot of outside factors that go into this, and I'm going to be talking through this today to give you the best possible chance of pulling this off. There will be a lot of tactics that I'm going to discuss here, or like techniques that I'm going to discuss here that are a little bit, I don't know, cheesy or metagamey, but given how absolutely BS this game can be sometimes when it comes to just stealing a victory or stealing a downless run away from you by a single enemy being able to kill you, let's use everything at our disposal to get this accomplished. So with that being said, what does it take to get True Survivor? Well, as I said before, you need to get one win on 35 plus Havoc with no downs on the entire team. And that is pretty difficult, honestly. Taking no downs is quite a challenge because Havoc is very rippy. That's a term that I bring from my Path of Exile playing, but basically you are very fragile in Havoc, especially on Havoc 35 plus, and a single enemy that sneaks up on you can put you down. So we need to be insulating ourselves against surprises, against bad luck, all that stuff. And speaking of luck, I would say that there is an element of luck to this. Not only am I talking about luck as far as what the game director decides to do, because the game director can decide to give you like a bunch of resources early in the map, and and slow roll the enemies, or alternatively it can decide to absolutely bend you over and go to town. We're just going to prepare for the best possible situation, so when that good situation does arise, we can capitalize on it and get the True Survivor. The other element of luck is whether or not the game will actually let you finish a game, because I've been having a big issue lately, if you've been watching my streams, of the game just crashing itself, it drawing a wrong reference, and just everybody fails automatically, or you don't even load into the mission. All those things, all those glitches, all those bugs that can just steal this from you. If you have someone disconnect and reconnect, oftentimes the game will count that as a down as well, due to that's the prevention to stop people from cheesing Auric Storm Survivor it counts as a down. So good luck. I would say that there's about 10% luck that goes into getting True Survivor, but thankfully it is also about 20% skill. We need to have some skill going in here. You need to know what you're doing with your class. This is not for the faint of heart, because you have to be able to avoid damage consistently and kill things consistently without them being able to hit you. Then we also need to have what I'm calling concentrated power of will here. This is just focus. This is just being locked in, because there is so much stuff you need to be hyper aware of. A single trapper that pulls you into a horde can instantly kill you. A single sniper shot, a single lone scab gunner that you didn't see climb over that fence behind you can instantly put you down if you are not paying attention and you're not shielded up. So we need to be locked in, scanning our peripherals, looking for every enemy that could possibly be a threat. I'd say that overall, True Survivor is going to be about 5% pleasure. That's that tiny, tiny bit of pleasure that you will derive when you finally do achieve this and you get the title and you can show off to all your friends. And of course, to go with that, there's about 10 times as much pain. 50% of this achievement is just going to be pain. You're probably not going to be lucky like me and get it your first 35 plus. You're probably going to be grinding at it for quite a while. And, just try to take some pleasure with the pain. Try to understand that you're not only playing more, but you're getting better. And we're going to try to make our best effort to make it as painless as possible. But as you can see, if you can do some basic math, all this adds up to 100%. That is 100% reason to sub to Mr. E. All right, going on here. Team composition. This is where we start to get into the most important element of this challenge. And I think this is by far the cheesiest and therefore best way of getting this comp, or getting this achievement done, and that is to bring 3 chorus zealots. Now, up until like yesterday-ish, I was thinking it was 2 and then maybe a vet in there too, but I think 3 chorus zealots is just really, really, really strong. And here's why. Chorus is already like the best ultimate in this mode. It makes you super safe. It staggers bosses. It staggers captains. It completely stops all the enemies from doing everything. And it does the same thing. It protects the entire team while it's going on. Every one of them can be chained after the other, and if you are a talented chorus zealot, you can use your allies' choruses to get behind them and get backstabs and get pious cutthroat cooldown. If you chain these things appropriately, you are golded up the entire mission, and enemies can't do anything against you. Add to that the fact that Zealot also has death prevention built into their kit. So in the off chance that something bullshit does happen, a sniper shot comes through when you don't have your gold toughness, a crusher overhead lands when you don't have your gold toughness, any number of crazy things could happen. The Zealot, if we have 3 of them, 3 out of the 4 members of the group are protected against insta-kill bullshit. So even if they take a really, really bad engagement and like 10 Ragers wail on them, they have 5 whole seconds where they can have another Zealot do chorus. 4 chorus Zealots works well too, but I think the best company for 3 chorus Zealots is actually 1 Psyker with Bubble. And this Psyker is responsible for bringing the 10% cooldown aura, as well as the 5% cooldown every time they get an elite kill for the whole group. And they are just dropping the cooldown of everyone else all the time. They're going to have Bubble up. Bubble is great for Chorus Zealot because that's the one weakness is like you need to get kind of close to start chorusing stuff, and Bubble is just so awesome for getting rid of stray stuff. This Psyker also is going to be juiced up with a Flame Staff or a Void Blast Staff to maximize their AoE destruction, because Zealots, outside of having Flamers, are not that good at Horde removal. So they're also just going to provide a stupid amount of cooldown reduction for the team. And remember, everybody on the team should be running cooldown reduction on all their curios too. We're going to be playing this like an MMO, basically. We want to be playing it like everybody's activating their ability all the time. And the way that I want you to play is I want you to pretend that the air outside of the bubble, you're like allergic to it, basically. And the only way you can survive outside of the bubble is with the chorus pumping, that juicy Zealot beat going. And then you chain the next chorus and the next chorus, and then another bubble comes up, and you're safe the whole time. You could substitute one of these chorus Zealots for a Shout Vet. I would not recommend going without the Psyker. And then Ogryn, I'm sorry, Ogryns. Ogryns, they do have a place in Havoc. They're pretty decent, honestly. But they don't have any place with this particular achievement because they have no way of stopping an ongoing situation. Say, for instance, there's 2 Reapers that were hiding in a corner. They come around and they lock on to, as they do, they lock onto one of the Zealots and they start gunning him down. And they immediately chunk his health to 0. And he goes into his death prevention phase. He has 5 seconds to last stand it out. He doesn't have his ult on cooldown. Well, every other class can do something to stop that damage going out to him. They can shout, they can chorus, they can put the bubble up, they can whatever it is to stop those Reapers, who presumably are at some sort of range, from being able to kill the Zealot. The Ogryn can't. The Ogryn can't intervene in any way. He can't take those Reapers and tell them to retarget to him unless he physically gets in between, which is going to be really, really hard. Everybody else can just press their ultimate or some sort of ability and get it done. He also has, and this is probably the bigger issue, no preventative defenses. So much of this is just, okay, we're going into a room. What's the first thing I'm doing? I'm going in there with chorus going, because I'm not taking the chance that right around that corner there's not 3 bursters and 25 crushers. I need to have chorus going when I'm walking into a room, because Lord knows what the room is hiding and what it's going to spawn on me. And Ogryn just has no way of pre-buffing to go into a room, but chorus, bubble, all that stuff is super, super usable. You come into a room, immediately lay down the bubble, 1 chorus is going, the next one goes as soon as the one finishes, and you chain it from there. Ogryn just really has no place in a group to make this challenge as easy as possible. And then the only substitution I would say is probably about as good as 3 chorus Zealot and 1 bubble psyker is running 2 bubble psychers instead of one of those Zealots. The difference here would be you'd have a little bit more damage, probably. I mean, a little bit more horde control. You'd run 1 Flame Staff and 1 Void Blast Staff, and you'd have double bubble, which is nice. But I think the Chorus Zealot is the best. Also, if you are a Psyker and you're not quite sure on your feet, take the thing that prevents you from blowing yourself up, because since you don't have vent, but you're playing bubble, it'd really suck if what happens to you is what happened to me yesterday trying to get this achievement for some players, and we got the entire way through the mission, and one of our psyker blew himself up and took it down. So just take the thing that makes it so you take the corruption value. You have about 1 point to spare on the good bubble psyker build. I'll be putting a video out for that tomorrow, hopefully, to show you what I think a good bubble psyker build for this challenge is. But yeah, okay, so team composition out of the way. Let's talk about mutations. And this is where we're going to talk about the metagame strategy we're going to employ to make this challenge as easy as possible. What I want you to do is when you reach level 35, just play your games and get your level up to 40. Just, have other people in your games and rank up as much as possible. If you are not a person who is capable of doing a 35 on your own, probably just isn't going to be the challenge for you, right? It wants you to do a 35. So try to get your level, your personal level to 40. And then what we're going to do is if the 40 that we're at, the Havoc 40 mission that it assigns you, is good, we can try to get True Survivor with it. You can invite people to the game and say, hey guys, we're going for True Survivor. And if you fail it 3 times, then you go down to 39. And you can try that 3 times. And you go down to 38. And then the fact that we get 5 different levels, you can D-rank yourself as well, means we can choose whether or not we want to play on certain maps or with certain mutations. So for instance, if you see a certain combination of mutations and map modifiers that you do not want to play, just go ahead and automatically D-rank yourself to the next tier down. And as long as it's a 35 or above, you're good to go. So by getting yourself to 40, playing a 40 to end each week, that way at the next week's reset, you're at that 40, and then you can just D-rank it 5 times or get 15 attempts, just losing back to back. But you should get it before 15 attempts. Okay, so mutations. Since that's how we're choosing which ones we want to play, we need to know what the best is. There are 2 that you get on each game. The best one to get is Mobian 21st. This is just extra flak armor on some little dudes. Not really a challenge at all, especially with that psyker in the group who's just going to be flame staffing everything down. The next best one to get is the armor. Again, this armor, it makes like the green armor on enemies, it makes them take less range damage. Yeah, it makes them take less damage. It'll take longer to kill them, but here's the thing. It's okay if stuff takes longer to kill. We're not concerned about stuff that's tanky. We're concerned about stuff that's going to kill us instantly. So we need to avoid these other 2 because these other 2 can kill you, and we need to avoid dying, obviously. The maybe not is the brain parasite. The brain parasite, the effect of it on its own, like the head explosion thing, is whatever. I think it's kind of annoying because it can knock you out of chorus and knock you off of cliffs and stuff. But the bigger thing is that the parasited enemies are not crowd controlled. So your chorus zealots normally are used to like walking forward, and every gunner within God's green earth is cowering like, oh my god, he's got the light of the Lord in him, and then they'll just stand around there for 8 seconds while you kill them all, and that's really, really nice. That's how the game should be played. But the parasite makes them just keep shooting you. So if you get unlucky and like 2 shotgunners who have brain parasites come into the fold while you're chorusing, they can kill you through that chorus. They can blast you twice because they're not getting staggered, or God forbid a Reaper with this. They can be really, really scary to deal with, and they can completely pin you down because you can't stagger them and make them stop doing what they're doing. So Parasite can be very dangerous, and then the most dangerous of them all is the green goop on the floor. Think about this. In order to deal damage to you, right, in order to lose this challenge, you have to have one of the players in your team lower the health to 0, and they have to go down. In order for that damage to go out, here's what has to happen in a normal game setting. You have to break the bubble. The enemy then has to break your gold toughness, then they have to break your toughness, and then they can damage your health. And then the whole time, right, you're regenerating toughness and you're putting up more bubbles and putting more layers of defense between the enemy's damage and your health. The goop, if you step in that goop for 1 millisecond, you lose health. And God forbid you're in a situation where you're moving back away from a horde and you have to kill a bunch of enemies to clear your retreat avenue, and they drop a bunch of goop there and you got to walk through it, and that shit stacks. So you immediately corrupt half of your health bar. Yes, having zealots on the team means you can take that corruption off over time, but you can accrue so much of it so fast, you're going to lose a quarter, a third, half of your health just by virtue of, oh, I walked in something I shouldn't have walked in. These 2 things down here we need to avoid wherever possible. It's okay to take Parasite if you have Mobian 21st because that's the best and this is whatever. But avoid goop wherever possible because it's just adding something that you have to worry about other than just scanning constantly left and right for gunners that are going to down you instantly. And we want to remove as many of those things as possible. Okay, maps. Here's the really big factor, I think, is the maps. These maps are not created equally. The good ones, Visual Station Oblivion, super easy map, super easy end event, super easy mid event, honestly. Hacking or scanning the little dudes and waiting for the elevator, really easy. And it's a short map, so if you fail it, you get 3 attempts on it real quick. The end event is super brain dead easy too. That's a great one to do it on. Archive and Sycorax, also probably known as one of the easiest maps in the game. Another great one to do it on. Archive and Sycorax also has doors, which fucking rock. We'll talk about that in a second. All Carnival maps are also really good, including the new one. Dark Communion are awesome because they have lots of doors and they have lots of health and resources distributed across of them. And then finally, Smelter. I don't have a picture of it here, but you know the one with where you revive the forge at the end. I think that's a pretty well balanced map. I don't think there's any rooms on it that are particularly scary. Compare that to Clandestine Gloriana, which I rank in the mid tier. The snow map, this one here, it does have scary rooms, namely the very first room, the walking on the precipice of death, where the whole left side of the map is just, hey, you plummeted to your death because you didn't see a barrel. Then after that, you have a really pretty difficult quote-unquote mid event where you have to revive and reset the transistors, and that can be very rippy. And then after that, you have the little tram ride, and you make it to this next big room, the one that's pictured here, and that next big room, the horde that comes at you there is generally really scary. But if you make it past this room here, you are golden. That is a smooth sailing ride after that because nothing else in the whole level is really scary at all. So that one's kind of a mid tier for me. If you can handle those first 2 rooms, or first 3 rooms, you're good to go. It does also have some doors too, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then bad. Refinery Delta 17, I think it is, the sand map. It is a ton of huge open rooms that are filled with sand and filled with fucking asshole gunners who are hiding in the rafters where you can't melee them, and they are going to shoot you from whatever range they decide to, and it's just a bunch of bullshit, and you can't get any good cover. There's always seems to be like tox bombers and stuff just hurling shit your direction on this map. I hate it. And then the one I hate the most of all is Chasm Magistratum. This map is a death trap. It is absolutely so rippy. Every room, like this one right here, even before this in the map, this is the one where you like, no one goes this avenue because it's too long a sight line, but up and over to the right, there's like that little fenced off area. You go up and over to the right, and then you go down the spiral. That mid event is really difficult to do and not lose a bunch of health doing. And then the end, or like not even the end event, the end event where you load the vacuum capsules onto the train is fine, I guess, but getting to that through those subways is hell. You will take it down on this map. It's super hard. Yeah, avoid it. Map modifiers, another thing to avoid at all costs. You don't have to have a map modifier, right? It's a random chance whether or not you get a map modifier, so let's just skip over the map, re-roll it if you get one, but some of them can be okay. Gas, however, get that shit the fuck out of here. First of all, let me get out of my soapbox here for a second. Gas has no fucking place in Havoc. Okay, Havoc is already hard enough, and then you're adding in what has always been an absolutely bullshit modifier that slows the pace of the game to an absolute crawl, and if you happen to get caught in it, because it like gasses up one whole half of the map, seemingly, if you're caught in it for more than 3 seconds, you are taking health damage, because I can sit in a gas bomber's fart cloud and huff all day, and I barely take a tickle of damage. But this shit, it chunks your toughness bar, and you're taking health damage. It's that fast. It is such bullshit, and it completely makes this game so much harder than it needs to be. And there's another modifier, a gas plus more pox bombers, that is just complete cancer. Reroll this shit if you see it. There's no one should be playing Havoc. This should not be in Havoc. Okay. Fog is fine. Remember that Fog does add more snipers, and snipers are instant kills if you're not golded up. So just watch out for that. And then Darkness is kind of a maybe thing. Darkness has the advantage of lowering the enemy's range of view as well. Like they can't gun you down from as far away. However, you can't see as far either. But if you're a cheetah reader pants like I am, and you have a way of seeing through the dark, it can be really positive for you. General tactics. Okay, this is probably the other really important thing to pay attention to here. Always be falling back. That means that when a boss spawns, when a horde spawns, anytime you hear any like murmuring of some shit that's about to happen, you need to fall back. If it's a horde, fall back a half a room to the start of the room that you're in. If it's a boss, I need you to fall back into the last room. So not even just fall back to the start of this room, fall back into the room before. Because what happens, and I should have had like a diagram on this page or something, but pretend that this abused doors here is like, you know, I'm walking from this direction. I'm walking up where my mouse cursor is, from the bottom of the screen to the top. I'm walking up and I step on abused doors here, and that spawns the boss, because bosses in this game are spawned by stepping over invisible lines. They are not time-based like hordes are. And so you'll step on this invisible line and it'll say, aha, you triggered my trap card, chaos spawn. And if you're like, all right, I'm a brave big boy, I'm gonna stand here at abused doors and I'm gonna fight this chaos spawn. Well, when the chaos spawn comes in, he does his little slappy thing and you run around him, and then he grabs you and he picks you up and he throws you up here to no heroes. Well, congratulations. The invisible trigger for the captain was right here. And now you've got the captain on your ass too. So you've just made the game like doubly as hard because you didn't do what you should do, which is as soon as you hear that boss, you are falling back to look out for barrels. You are back in not only the last room, but the room before, because bosses, they love to make you kite around. And that's the big thing, is like you want as much space as possible to kite around. I can't count the number of times I've lost a mission to people kiting a boss around and then just kiting forward in the level and picking up extra like gunners and reapers and other bullshit, spawning a boss, all that shit. So please just fall back as hard as possible. Get to the most defensive open position that you can kite this boss around and deal with it safely. No heroes allowed. The only time you're allowed to be a hero is if you are a zealot who has their death prevention up, and even then I wouldn't recommend it, because we need to be protecting our health like it is absolutely precious. Stay in formation. Don't be like, oh, I can get the trapper who's running away, he missed a shot, I can get him, I just need to overextend a little bit. No, that's when you're gonna get hit by the second trapper and fuck the whole team. So stay in formation. Do not be a hero. Don't be the guy who's like, all right, I'm leading the charge, like I commonly do, and I jump down off the ledge, and then no one follows me because they didn't hear the call out, and I fucking didn't realize I didn't have my ult up. Coordinate with the team and say, okay, we are going in 3, 2, 1, and then wait to see that everyone else is going with you, and then we all go together. Being a little ball is how you do this achievement. You need to be up each other's buttholes, basically. Human centipede this shit. No heroes. Always use protection. If you are not under the effects of chorus currently pulsing, vibrating you, or if you do not have gold shield on your bar, you belong inside the bubble. That is how to play this the safest and best way possible. The bubble is there for when you need your smoke break and you're on your cooldown for getting your chorus up, and any other time that you're outside of it, that chorus needs to be bumping, and you're just making your way through the level. You're leapfrogging those choruses forward. You bubble again. You keep going forward. There should be no time that you are not protected by one of these extra layers of defense. Then we got to talk about some offense here. Doors. Doors are one of the reasons for the maps that are good being good. Those carnival maps and stuff, they instantly kill bosses. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out JSAT's video, go check out my stream from last night. All those videos have showcases of killing bosses instantly by closing them into little doors. The ones you press the button on the side and it goes and it shuts like a Star Trek door. If you put a boss in between, directly in between those two panels, captains included, instant death for the boss. That saves you a ton of time and a ton of grief of kiting this little motherfucker around, especially if you get a captain who has the one-handed sword. Those guys can do a death twirl that is not animated. So if they're just walking towards you menacingly, know that what they're actually doing on the server end is they're spinning their sword around 20 times a second, and if you are near them, they're going to cut you to pieces and put you down instantly. So when a boss is targeted on you, it's best practice is to be blocking. Unless you can see that they are doing a very obvious, like, projected animation, like the overhead slam or something. But yeah, abused doors, this works on every boss. Beast and Nurgle, you'll have to get their big yellow glowing orb weak spot into the door and then shut it there. It might take a couple of attempts to finagle them to the exact position, but pretty much every boss has a lovely attack where they come right up to you and they stand still to do an overhead slam or a grab or something, and that's a great time to shut the door on them. Abused ledges, same thing. If at all possible, this only works for Chaos Spawns and Plague Ogrins, but they can be used, ledges can be, they can shove off by using Chorus. Chorus is amazing, gives you 3 shoves per every chorus, maybe it's 4, I can't remember. But it gives you these really nice shoves, and you can like shove them once and they stand there staggered, and then you can just walk around them 90 degrees and stagger from the other side. With 3 Chorus Zealots, you can take that boss and walk them across the whole fucking map and shove them off of wherever you need to. So just hope and pray that you don't see Beasts and Nurgles, and that you instead see these other type of bosses, and that means that you don't have to fight bosses at all. And then finally, the thing we really need to look out for here is barrels. Barrels are just instant death waiting to happen. They are death traps. Some maps are absolutely full of them. Clandestine Gloriana. They are one of the few things that can damage you through your toughness. Remember earlier we were talking about how the green goop damages you through your toughness and how that's a cheap way for the game to steal a win from you. Barrels are even cheaper because a lot of times you can't hear them. If you can get the mod called Danger Zone that highlights the radius of them, that really helps for this challenge. But just generally, I usually just go into a room, and before anyone has moved in, I'm just shooting the barrels. I'm just throwing my knives in the barrels so they're already done, because what's going to happen is you'll be fighting a horde and someone will swing their sword or the flame staff will go over a barrel and no one will notice it, and then it'll blow up, and it does like havoc with the lowered health pool. And I feel like the barrels do extra damage too. You'll chunk half of your health instantly, and it's complete bullshit, and it goes straight through your toughness. It is quite horrible. So that is everything, guys. There is one more way to become to get this achievement, and that is subscribing to me and becoming a member, because I try to carry my members sometimes unsuccessfully, as last night where I had a bunch of crashes and stuff. But yeah, becoming a member, I will do my best. I will bend over backwards to carry you to Havoc 40, to to tutorialize how to do this stuff for you. And I really want my members to get the benefit out of being members, because they are financially supporting me. But also a big thanks to everyone who watches the videos, likes and subscribe as well. Also, I have to mention PJ. He is and Nicholas. They are not actually International Man of Mystery. They are one tier above. They are Tanner tributees. They are big boys up here. So PJ is getting his carry tonight for sure. We'll get it this time. All right, guys. I really appreciate y'all for watching. Hopefully this helps, and best of luck not crashing out there. Mystery out.